Hey everyone, my name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, so sit back, relax and enjoy. No, I still don't work here. Waves bye bye. I really debated telling this story, but it is what it is and my significant other approves, so what the hell. Yesterday, I was at a red-themed big box store. In fact, it was a super bullseye, meaningless fact. All of our Christmas shopping is done. My significant other and I were picking up some knick-knack gifts. So hard to shop for those on Amazon, and a few groceries. I was just browsing and my arm gets grabbed, and I'm spun to face this older man. I immediately recognize Bob, not his real name. Hi Bob. I interrupted his tirade that I mostly didn't hear, full deaf on the right, 80% on the left. I see you've still got that scar on your cheek. As I'm saying this, Bob turns pale as a ghost and then runs away. No exaggeration on the term run either, fast as he could go. Why? That's the more interesting part. Several years prior to this, I was in the same store, during the same time of year. Now, while yesterday, I wearing this make your eyes bleed Christmas sweater, when Bob and I first met, I was wearing a nice Hugo Boss pantsuit. Also, I was as deaf then as I am now. At any rate, I was putting one of those fancy crock pots that did everything back on the shelf. My mum knew I was wanting one for our kitchen, so I would hold off for now, and if we didn't get one for Christmas, I'd probably be able to find one super cheap in an after Christmas sale. So, I turned and started to push my cart along and my ponytail got grabbed and yanked hard. Thankfully, it was more discomfort than outright pain. I turn and this guy lets go of my hair. So there is this guy. He's about 6'2", I'm 5'4" by the way. Mid-50s, expensive clothes and jewelry. Facing him, I could make out what he was saying. M is me, B is Bob. Witch, how dare you ignore me like that? If I had more time, I'd put you in your place. Now, get over here and help me. I don't work here. Not to mention, it seems like you're an insufferable douche. Go screw yourself. I turned and started to walk away. Do your job. Bob grabbed my arm and swung me around again, getting 3 inches from my face and screaming and spitting. What is wrong with you? You can't talk to me like that. At this point, Bob made his worst mistake. He knotted up his hand in my turquoise top and raised his other hand like he was going to slap me. At that point, I'd had enough of Bob. I need to mention here that I'd spent part of my time in the corps doing hand-to-hand instruction. So Bob and I do-see-do for a couple of seconds, and then on the way down, the side of Bob's face hit the edge of the bottommost shelf and laid his cheek open pretty good. I had my knee in his back and his arm torqued up so he wasn't going anywhere. Due to all the noise, Bob screaming, hitting the shelf, etc., there were several people looking to see what happened, including a store associate and my significant other. I don't remember this part, probably from the adrenaline, but my significant other swears I told Bob to stop moving so I don't have to hurt him any further. Nor do I remember asking for someone to call the police as this douchebag tried to assault me. Police arrive, I release Bob, I get handcuffed. The EMT tries to fix Bob's face, arguing ensues. Bob claims I attacked him, claims I'm faking being deaf. My significant other asks the police to check the security footage. They do. Bob's arrested and eventually charged with assault. I have to go and fill out a statement, but I am let go. Bob was found guilty of assault. Didn't see Bob again until yesterday. He was older, heavier, and didn't have the expensive clothes or jewelry this time. I just waved bye-bye as he ran away. It seems that sometimes you really can't teach old dogs new tricks. Well, yeah, I'd hope he got arrested. What kind of person grabs someone by the ponytail from the back, especially someone you don't even know? Harpy dings a Karen's brand new Jaguar. I work at a hospital as an ER nurse, which means when I start at 7 AM, by 9 in the morning, all the cares I possess are gone, and by the end of my 12.5-hour shift, I'm pretty much just done with people in general. Don't get me wrong, I love my job, but fighting Darwinism can be exhausting. So after a rather grueling shift, I stopped by the grocery store for dinner. I'm tired and feeling super lazy at this point, so even though I'm only grabbing a couple of things, I use a regular cart, cause you know, I can lean on it. I do my shopping, pay for my goods and head out to my truck. Just to inform, no khakis were involved here. Store employees wear dark brown slacks, white collared shirts and ties. I was wearing an incredible scrub top, yes, the animated movie, no, you can't judge me, and bright blue scrub pants. After loading my groceries, I, of course, returned my wheeled crutch, shopping cart, to the corral, and returned to my truck when a Harpy with an RBF that would make Louis from Malcolm in the Middle proud screams across the lot. M for me and H for Harpy. Boy, I'm done. You can take my cart now. Huh? I know I look young, but really, boy? Come over here and take my cart. Yeah, I don't work here, sorry. Just do your damn job and take my cart. That's gonna be a hard no from me, sorry. I start again back towards my truck. Harpy at this point decides to thrust her cart towards me. It rolls, as carts with wheels are wont to do, and to me, it's like a train wreck. I want to look away but I can't. I'm mesmerized by the free-range movement of this cart as it runs right into a Jaguar, a nice clean one, with dealer plaques still on where the license plate should be. And a woman who totally looked like a Karen, you know the type, just getting out. The Karen obviously starts screaming and hollering as only a Karen can. Harpy is trying to blame me for not running out to catch the car. I'm trying very hard not to start laughing. I finally get back to my truck as Harpy is screaming at me to stop because this is my fault because I should have collected her car in the first place. The last thing I heard before closing my door and driving off was the Karen screaming at Harpy about how he's wearing scrubs. How could any idiot think he works here? I think this was the first time I've ever rooted for a Karen. That is amazing. I hope the Karen started like screaming at her in the Karen way, but yeah. But even if the guy did work there, I wouldn't do that for them. Like, what kind of person pushes their cart towards someone and goes, put it away for me, oh, I'm too good for you. Like, nothing in the world makes you too good to put away your cart. I'm trying to eat here, man, but thanks for the extra combo. So this just happened about 40 minutes ago. I went out for lunch and decided to have some McDonald's. The restaurant has 2 doors, out of which one is closed due to being next to a remodeling area inside the venue. I am sitting across from said door, just enjoying my meal, when an old couple tries and fails to open the locked door. They somehow manage to not see the sign indicating that the door is locked, while pressing their faces against the glass. Old guy spots me and signals to the door. I ignore him and continue to eat. I should mention that I am not dressed in any way as a McDonald's employee. I am wearing a copper red shirt and blue jeans. Eventually, they make it in, and he alone is over at my table. Lazy piece of crud, ain't ya? Only on Thursdays. Why didn't you open the door? Because I'm eating and I don't work here. You are lying. Get me your manager. My manager is in New York on a business trip. BS! He screamed as he slapped my tray off my table, with my meal on it. So I get up, he squares up, and I walk past him. I make it to the register with him right on my heels, yelling stuff like, "Not so tough now, right? Gonna go cry to your manager now?" I didn't need to ask for the manager, since the old guy was being so loud. "Sup?" The old guy speaks up. This lazy POS wouldn't open the door for us because he was eating, so do something about it. That's right, and he knocked my tray off the table. You got that meal for free, you'll get another, so quit your whining. You're right, he is getting a meal for free. You need to leave, I can't have you assaulting my customers. So please leave or you will be escorted out. But the customer is always right. You shouldn't reward lazy employees for being lazy and talking back to a customer. He doesn't work here, he is a customer. And you are on your way out. By this point, it seemed to have clicked for the old guy. He stared at me, then back at the manager. He called his wife and both walked out. Got a free meal, and they gave me an Oreo sundae. Thanks, old guy. Yeah, a little lesson for the old guy. I don't think the customer is always right works in every scenario, you know? You can't just go around slapping people's trays off their thing and then going, but I'm a paying customer, I can do what I want. You can't. I'll poop wherever I like. This sub is a dream to me. I have experiences like this constantly. I think it might be due to having spent 17 years in the service industry. I just have that look. I've started wearing earbuds everywhere I go, but obviously that's not something I can do in restaurants and bars. My buddy was taking me out to a fancy French restaurant as a treat, and I was pretty gussied up. I really enjoy getting dolled up and wearing a beautiful dress to enjoy a wonderful meal. However, the city in which I live, Portland, Oregon, has a reputation for diners dressing down, even in fine dining restaurants. It's a running joke among locals. You'll go into a restaurant where a couple will easily drop a couple hundo on one meal, and over half the room are wearing hiking clothes or yoga pants. I only mention this because the staff tends to be better dressed than the clientele. I was wearing all black with my hair in an elaborate updo and chandelier earrings. I think the all black is what started everything. This particular restaurant has a well-known and frankly downright foxy chef who typically works at a station exposing and plating where everybody can see him. It's also near the door to the only washroom and the service station. It's a huge restaurant, and with only one washroom, there was a bit of a line. I waited and waited, and at one point I think the chef and I exchanged a few pleasantries. When I was next in line, a middle-aged man in a Portland issue plaid button-up and jeans got in line behind me. He had cranky energy and was shifting from foot to foot. It didn't seem like he had to go badly, just that he was impatient. I had been waiting much longer than him, and found his constant sighing and scoffing irritating. When it was my turn, I reached for the door, only to have this awful man push in front of me and nearly knock me over, shoving himself into the open door. I was so taken aback, I just sort of froze and said, "Excuse me, I was next." Which is when he wheeled around and started yelling about how he wasn't about to wait while some waitress changed her tampon. And then yelled at the chef that he shouldn't have a staff bathroom because it's disgusting that staff use the same bathroom as guests, and implied he might not pay for his meal because of it. I stood there in absolute shock and a full bladder while this man took care of his business, clearly taking his sweet time out of spite. Maybe. Something about his personality made me think he hadn't taken a normal poop in years. The chef apologized to me, and a waiter who had been at the service station commiserated. I decided screw it, I don't work here, but even if I did, there is no reason to be treated like I'm not human. Seriously dude, you're wearing muddy Teva sandals and suddenly acting like we're in Downton Abbey. When he came out, I used my entire body to block his path out of the bathroom, and gave him a stern but quiet lecture about how A, I wasn't an employee, and B, there is nothing wrong with sharing the bathroom with the staff, and told him that he had ruined what should have been a special night out. Again, all of this happened in full view of the entire kitchen staff, and several members of the waitstaff. I hadn't realized it at the time, but this jerk was actually seated directly next to my friend on the banquet. His female dining companion was sitting next to me. I had been gone easily 20 minutes and my friend was confused and annoyed. I figured at this point I had nothing to lose. So I loudly explained what happened while gesturing to the awful man and making pointed eye contact with the woman. The man looked furious and the woman just silently glared at him. After a few minutes, the waiter wordlessly dropped their check. They were mid-meal and hadn't been offered dessert. It was clearly a very pointed but polite "screw you, get out" from the staff after his rant. They paid without incident, and as they got up to leave, he tried to put his hand on her shoulder, only to have her jerk away and say, "Don't touch me." That face when you realize your partner is a complete douchebag who got you thrown out of a restaurant for screaming about tampons. We got a cheese plate and glasses of sparkling rosé as a gift from the restaurant. Cheers. Oh, that guy got what was coming to him. That woman that he was with dodged a huge bullet right there. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon.